Hey, and welcome to this next presentation here at ABG Sundal Collier Investor Days. My name is Simon Granat and I will be moderating this presentation, and I work as an equity analyst covering IT and tech companies at ABG. With us today, we have the pleasure of welcoming Anders Wehtje, who is the CFO of Avensia. And with that said, please, Anders, go ahead and present the company.
Thank you, Simon, so much. And hello, everyone. I obviously wished that this presentation could have taken place live, but I guess we, for the time being, need to go with these digital kind of solutions, and it's better than nothing, obviously. Please take the next slide. As Simon already said, my name is Anders Wehtje. I work as a CFO for Avensia. I have quite a long history actually with the company. I was a board member of this company for 15 years before I made kind of a reverse career move, I guess, and joined as a CFO. And I'm also one of the major shareholders of Avensia. Next slide, please. A brief introduction to who we are. The company was actually founded back in 1998. We did something completely different back then, and I say we. I was not involved at the stage. The company did something completely different. It was founded in Lund. We have our headquarters in Lund, and we are publicly listed and traded on Nasdaq First North Premier market. We are in number of employees slash staff, a bit more than 300 modern commerce experts working for Avensia today. And as that indicates, our focus today is 100% on modern commerce. And what is it that we actually do? Well, we do everything from trend spotting and strategic advice to systems implementation and daily operational support. There is actually a bit of a debate ongoing internally in the company today if we are a modern commerce company that is very good on technology, or if we are a technology company that is very informed about modern commerce. And I think I would go for the former definition if I would put a label on our company today. We work with brands, business to business and business to consumer clients, and our customers do digital business in more than 150 countries around the globe. Next slide, please. Our vision is a very bold one, I would say, a very daring one. It's been crafted and worked at and agreed on just 6, 7, 8 months ago, and that is that Avensia should be a global driver of modern commerce. And when we talk about modern commerce, we often talk about our customers' customers. And I guess that could be all of us in this audience today. How we as consumers behave in different market places, in different market channels when we consume things. And when I say consume things, that could be everything from buying something physically to actually accessing a service. So it is how we as individuals, how our behavior is changing over time when it comes to consumption. So that is, in short, I would say, the definition of modern commerce. And we want to be a driving force in defining the future in this area. Next slide, please. We have a global footprint. As mentioned already, our headquarters, they are in Lund. We have other Swedish offices in Helsingborg, Malmö, Stockholm and Umeå. We have a strong market presence in Norway and an office in Oslo. We have a tiny office, I would say, in London. We have the same in Chicago. Both of them are more or less sales offices. And then we have a development center in the Philippines, in a town named Cebu, where we are at presently, I think we are 40 to 50 staff and growing out in the Philippines, where it's possible to find highly qualified staff for very suitable for what we do. Next slide, please. And here you can see some of our clients, customers, and I think that many of you recognize most of the logos and most of these companies and brands. Yeah, it's a lot of business to consumer. We have a bit of business to business as well, Ahlsell and Essity, which is a fairly new client of ours. IKEA is there, Saint-Gobain. We do a lot of big data handling for them. But it's been, I would say, historically, quite a heavy focus on business to consumer. Next slide, I think, shows some of the sites that we just recently launched. We have been involved in a major project for NK over the last, I think it's at least 2 years now, and the site was launched not long ago. And as many of you probably know, NK is a fairly complex animal. There is a property owned by Huvudstaden, and inside of NK you have, I don't know how many different stores, and they are all separate from each other. So it's been an extremely complex task to put together an e-commerce site that works smoothly for NK, but it's been a great project, I must say. We have Indiska, which is a very interesting client of ours, now in a new ownership, family ownership, and driven by really ambitious entrepreneurs, and I would say with strong financial backing, and we believe very strongly in Indiska's future, and we hope that we can contribute to their future. Other sites, Kovab and Skin City. Please take a look. We are very proud of these sites, and they often generate real substantial change in the top line, and hence the overall P&L numbers for the people and the clients we work with. Next slide, please. We are I would say, basically, we are a consultancy company. We are, often dreaming of that we would be something else, software firm and subscription models and every all the good stuff that comes with that in terms of margins and valuations, etc. Deep down, we are a consultancy business. However, we have a very strong recurring component in our business, in the sense that the clients and the companies and people that do become clients of ours, they tend to one, stay for a very long period of time, and two, they also tend to increase their business with us over time. A typical kind of interaction between Avensia and the client of ours is that we start out with giving them some strategic advice. Giving strategic advice means that we are often being introduced and interacting with the top management of whatever company it might be. And that often opens up and kind of broadens our scope in what we do and how we service these companies and these clients over time. So you can see the blue here is existing customers, and we define existing customers by saying that that's a customer that we sometime during the last year sent an invoice to. So all the companies that we had sent an invoice to at the latest December 31, 2018, they are the blue column in 2019, and you can see that there is a bit of growth in there. And I could say that roughly over the years, our split in revenue has been 80-20, something like that, on existing customers and new customers. So what I want to say with this slide is that we are a consultancy company. We shouldn't fool ourselves with trying to bring across a different message, but we have a strong recurring component in our revenue stream. Next slide, please. Well, I guess it's impossible to do a presentation without mentioning COVID-19 and Corona, and so I will do that, I think, in the next 2 slides. I mean, obviously, we, as most other companies, have been affected by the pandemic, and obviously, our first priority has been a focus on health and safety for all our employees and our partners and clients and what have you. And it hasn't affected us very much because we are very used to work in a distributed manner. We are spread out in many different offices. Our teams that are put together to deliver value and solutions to our clients, they often sit in different geographical locations. So remote working conditions have not really meant a big change for us. A change that is, I think, evident for everyone is that the corona pandemic accelerates the digitalization of retail. I'm coming back to that a little bit in the next slide. We have been negatively impacted this year. As a short-term effect, basically our business, I shouldn't say came to a standstill, because it didn't, but our business it thrives when we have ever ongoing discussions with our clients, discussing the next step in refining the solutions that we already developed for them, discussing with new clients about new projects, meaning that the clients need to take investment decisions for the future, etc., etc. All that came to a complete freeze middle of March. And we went through a period of a couple of weeks until some of the clients put their heads back up and said that, okay, it doesn't seem that the world will end this time either. So and slowly then returning back to business. But it's quite evident that 2020 will be a very kind of odd year for us. However, that we also see that the corona pandemic is bringing around opportunities if we look a bit longer into the future, obviously, as we are so active within digitalization. And we are not part of the problem, obviously, for retailers, business to business, clients, whatever. We can, however, be a significant part of the solution for many of the challenges that people are facing out there in the market presently. The next slide. I will not go into this in any kind of detail. I will just conclude by saying, and I think that most of you have read different articles, different statements, different XYZ over the last 6-9 months. And all of them basically are saying that all these trends that have been seen in retail and in business over the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, they are now accelerating, and some of them are accelerating quite dramatically. It's becoming even more evident for businesses that if they don't have a proper digital plan, whatever that digital plan might entail, they might face big problems. Often it's a question about securing survival longer term in a completely and very rapidly changing marketplace. Something that is not mentioned here, but maybe should have been mentioned, and that's obviously not directly linked to COVID-19, but now Amazon has entered the Swedish marketplace. And obviously we are working very actively with many of our clients to kind of adjust to a future where Amazon will be around. Because I don't think that we should be naive and say that, well, they had a bad start in Sweden. I think some of you might have read those articles where they had some translations that went wrong, etc., etc. But this is Amazon, and we have the greatest of respect for them. And we also see that many times that they can be actually one of many sales channels that our clients use. So we are guiding, we are advising, we are assisting, we are rebuilding technical setups for many of our clients to actually adjust, and where many of them will use Amazon as one sales channel in preparation for a different and very, very much more digital future than what we have today. And all of these, accelerating trends obviously is something that I shouldn't say speaks for us, but we like what we see when we at the same time take a look at, okay, where do we have our skill sets, what is it that we can assist our clients with, etc., etc. I think that we have a very interesting strategic positioning going forward. The next slide, please. Some key financials for first through third quarter of this year. I mentioned that we have been affected by COVID, and we had a top line, or we have had a top line growth of 6% for the first 9 months of this year, and that is a much lower number than what we as a company have experienced historically. You can see that our operating profit has been cut in half. Last year we managed to produce 17 million in operating profit. This year it's 8.5. And the one and only, I would say, explanatory factor is that we have increased our headcount. I mentioned before that we are 300 plus modern commerce employees working in Avensia. We actually have 275 on our payroll, and then we have roughly 10% that work as consultants for Avensia. And one interesting thing that did happen when Corona struck back in March is that all of a sudden the recruiting window for talented people opened up, and we in the management team and we had a brief look around in our meeting room and said that what should we do? And we said that we should recruit. Things will come around again. Now is the opportunity to bring people on board. Recruiting talented people, talented individuals is by far the biggest bottleneck we are facing when we are trying to grow our business. So we have taken on board a lot of people this year. We are very happy to have done so, but obviously it has had a negative short-term effect on our margins. We have held it together when it comes to cash flow. Looks like a completely dramatic, insane increase of 300%. But it should be seen, of course, against the background that the base number 3.8 is not a very big number. But we are keeping our arms around our dear cash flow and preserving cash I would say, in a good way. When our Q4 and full year numbers were presented back in February for 2019, our board proposed to the shareholders that there should be a dividend of 0.28 Swedish krona paid for 2019. That was then withdrawn, or maybe I should say postponed, when Corona came. But the board just recently took a decision actually to summon the shareholders mid-December, and hopefully the shareholders will decide to execute the dividend, which I think is another testimony that we are fairly confident about where we are and where we are going, although that 2020 will clearly be, so to say, a little bit of a middle year for us in terms of growth and profit. Next slide, please. This is our share, our stock. I think it went down the last couple of days. I think it was 16.5, something like that today. And I think that we are compared to the all share index. I think that this year we are basically in line with the all share index. We have had a tremendous development at Avensia in terms of our share price over the years, but obviously share prices, they go up and down. We hope for a positive development going forward, but that obviously remains to be seen in terms of how we perform. Next slide, I think, should be the last one. We are running out of time. The future for us, we see a continued volatile but significant and increasing global opportunity when we look ahead. I talked about these trends, that acceleration and growth post-corona, so that we hope to be part of a strongly growing market going forward. We have reorganized ourselves a little bit to increase our customer focus and increase our efficiency. I talked already about attracting and retaining key talent, which is basically the one, if I would pull one deciding factor out of the hat, that I can't underline the importance of recruiting key talent. And it's very, very difficult within this field to find qualified individuals. Actually, the competition for these individuals in the marketplace is very fierce. We also focus a lot on IP and products. I talked about Avensia being a consultancy business. Yes, we are. However, we do sit and we do deal with a lot of intellectual property, things that could be, considered to be products. We do, bill our clients a bit of licensing revenue in different areas. I think there is a lot of potential for us to try to get our arms around that area much more than is the case today. I think that was it, Simon. I think I'm through. I'm sorry I used 3 too many minutes.
I think it's perfectly fine, Anders. Let's do just a quick 2 questions because we have some minutes remaining on this session. So initially, I'd like to stay on the net recruitment topic. Obviously, you have kept your net recruitment rate at a very high rate throughout 2020. Has this been challenging to do? I mean, given that it might be a hard cultural fit initially, as people have mainly been working from remote, and also how should we think around the net recruitment rate going forward, given the recently high rate?
No, I think it hasn't been very difficult. I think that we are starting to have a good name in the market. A lot of people who are, kind of working in this area are keen to come and work with us, or I should rather say that they know who we are when we contact them. I shouldn't sit here and brag and say that everyone comes and wants to work for Avensia. That's not the case. But we are known in the marketplace. We have a good name in the marketplace. And as I mentioned, it was kind of a window, like opening a window in mid-March, from extremely difficult to, there were abilities in every corner. And I can say, and I don't know if that's an indication of where, the world economy is heading again, the window has I shouldn't say it's closed completely again, but the climate in the recruitment market has changed quite dramatically over the last 4 to 6 weeks in a way that's a a bit amazing, a bit astonishing. So right now we are back to where we were before, where we need to work harder to continue to recruit.
Very interesting. Let's continue just with a couple of questions on the storefront family. What is the current status there? We don't need to speak that much about numbers, but is it a growing part of your business? Does it progress according to your own plan? Some comments around the storefront family would be helpful.
Sorry, I would say that it distinguishes us in many cases when we go out and approach clients. I think that's, for us to build kind of a product business on storefront standalone going forward and looking into the future, I'm not sure that will happen. But it gives us tremendous leverage in the marketplace when we are out speaking to clients. Because it gives us a much broader offering when we go out and speak to people, and that is a great help in many places. But an off-the-shelf product that will sell in tens of thousands of licenses going forward, I wish that was the case, obviously, as a shareholder of Avensia, but I don't really see that happening, Simon.
Okay, thank you, Anders. Unfortunately, we have now run out of time, but I'd like to send you a big thank you for attending today. And with that said, I wish you a great rest of the day.
Thank you so much, guys. Goodbye.